There was an apartment upstairs that the gentleman lived in.
And this was a store.
Now he's homeless.
A bit about what you're doing over here,
We're filling an order as they come in. We ask what all products they want and can use, and then we take them back and fill the orders. We're here from Missouri, actually.
Missouri?
We're not from the area. We just came up with our church to kind of help out. And
so it's like a mission trip.
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Because if it ever happens to us, then just that's what we're supposed to do: help each other
Right.
and stuff. And
So are you
glorify
also
God when we can.
are you also with Calvary Chapel, or did you come from
No,
a different
we
church?
came from Bethel Baptist Church in Warrensburg, Missouri. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So basically, just different teams. So you said that that other people are out doing
A lot of
construction.
our husbands are out doing construction right now.
They're out at
So
Bat
we're
Cave.
doing, yeah.
I'm Pastor Billy Osegian with Calvary Chapel here in Mills River. We are currently still involved in the relief work because of the Hurricane Helene and all the damage that was done in our area, as well as in the areas in all four directions around us. A lot of the major damage was done in the valleys areas where water built up in the creeks and flooded and then overcame some of the housing, as well as where mudslides came down and did damage. The areas from Mills River, as far as I know, most of the housing in this area has been taken care of. We've been busy repairing homes and fixing problems both outside and in. There's still trees down that we're trying to get up in people's yards and stuff like that nature. Thankfully, most of the work where it's been on a house that's all done and taken care of. It's now just more debris that is blocking driveways or leaving problems for the families there, and they can't. It's more than they can do. So we're going back and helping them as well, and then we're finishing up the jobs that we had started. So completing the jobs at different homes, and that including total renovations in some houses and repairs in others. The issues for us right now. Also, we're reaching out to Bat Cave. Spruce Pine is still needing help up there, up far north of us. Both us and Knoxville Calvary Chapel have been very deeply involved in helping the different areas, and they still sending teams down to us to help us and assist us. We've been having Calvary Chapels from all of the United States have been coming in to help. It's been phenomenal. We've had over 100 plus teams that have come in this time frame, more than 1,000 volunteers that have come in. Some have come in repeatedly. Every 3 or 4 weeks they'll send a new team down. Sometimes it's the same individual, sometimes it's a whole new group of people from that church, whichever church is sending them. We've been having come as far as from Oregon, as well as actually Alaska. We had a team from Alaska come down. We've had teams from California, teams from Texas, teams from Arizona, teams from Maine has been very faithful. Ohio, Calvary Chapel of Philadelphia has been sending teams. The Finger Lakes Calvary Chapels. So I share this with you just so you understand the degree of damage that has been done, that we've had people from all over the United States coming to help. And we're coming to a place now where most of the work that we've had on our website, because we have a website up, people were sending their information to us and asking for help. We're completing most of that. So now we're beginning to move toward Bat Cave and Lake Lure to help the homeowners in that area. A lot of the commercial properties have been taken care of, but it's the homeowners that are needing help in that area. There is a group there already called, give me a minute to remember their name, Spokes of Hope, and Shane is running that, and they're in need of help. So we're starting to send teams out that way.
little bit about how you formed the disaster relief kitchen here.
Well, my husband and I actually own the property here that you see that the post office resides on. They lease from us. And then on the left side was Hip Hen Uniques. That was our antique vintage shop. The post office survived. My side came down. We got down here probably the 6th day after the hurricane is when we finally can make it. I had a friend across the river that did send me a picture of my building, so I kind of prepared for it. We were down here cleaning up what we could, salvage anything that we could, which we probably lost about, I'd say 85% of the goods inside.
You were here during the storm. You want to tell me a little bit about it?
We knew the storm was coming through. We weren't really sure, not expecting to have to get out. We had been in several storms, and we had retaining walls, and it had lapped the retaining walls, so we were ready and prepared. Lost power about 3:30, 7:30 when daylight broke. We could see that it hadn't hit the retaining walls. Within an hour it had. Within maybe another hour it was surrounding the house, and we started thinking, what are we going to do? So we started moving stuff to the front of the house, really just the dogs and like our cell phones and keys. And our neighbors started banging on the door for us to get out. Several of the houses had come down the river and started damming up, and he was saying the dam's going to break, meaning that he was afraid it was going to start taking other houses on our side. So he grabbed 2 of our dogs, and Cheryl grabbed one of the dogs, and I hadn't got my shoes on yet, and I ran out and we went across the street and stayed on our neighbor's porch for the next hour and a half, to watch the rest of the storm. And within 10 minutes of us leaving the house was gone.
Oh wow, so it just rose really quickly and then
did.
came down.
I would probably say within 2 hours we went from not hitting the retaining wall to taking the house.
I'm from Canton, North Carolina, and our entire area was flooded. The way that it worked out for us is I was sitting on my porch one day, and my friend from Northern Virginia gave me a call and said that if we can get you a plane full of goods, can you get it to the people? And I said, absolutely. And we've been working ever since.
They come down here and checked it, but they never come back and dug it up. So I got a machine, I come down here and dug it up.
Right.
Our cadaver dog still hits on this side down there in the sand, but we ain't been able to get a machine back there since.
So you think that there might still, because the cadaver dog hits it, there's possibly still parts of that person, or?
It could be, but more than likely it's just probably some matter. Just a smell, the remnants from the, how you put it, the person where they decayed or whatever.
Right.
Seeps in the soil or whatever. And
Yeah.
it could just be like I said, it could just be from the soil, but yeah, you can bring him out here right now, he'll sit down on it right now.
Right, so just basically for the benefit of the audience, I don't think that there's any way to find like the bones or even that much of this person.
No, because like I said, when we actually found out about the car, another team had found the car, and we've got videos of it somewhere, but something had dug down on the right-hand side when the car was flipped upside down, and actually dug something, because when they come back and did the test with the bloodlights and stuff, you can see blood going up over that log right there back off into the woods.
Right, so the animal drug them like in that general direction.
Yes. As far as what we know.
Right. Sand's loose.
Oh yeah. We did do the research on the car, and the insurance was paid out on it November 24th.
On this car?
Mm-hmm. They wouldn't tell us who it come from. The insurance company wouldn't tell us anything.
So basically there's just no way to know who you found, or?
There's no way to know who was in the car. If there was anybody in the car, or, you know, I'm not gonna say somebody was in the car just because of that, because we didn't find the person in the car, but something had dug it up, and we did find blood going back up that way.
Oh, I see. So the car and the person's location overlap, but doesn't necessarily mean that they were a pair.
And then we never could get to that car down there. Like I said, it was nothing but ice out here at that time.
Right,
That
so
car had been cleared, but it's still there in the water, along with hundreds of others that nobody's touching.
so have they moved at all, or are they just kind of where they were?
No, this is exactly where I turned it over, and that car is exactly where it was whenever we found it. Actually, my shower curtain.
Looks like pieces of someone's roof.
Yes, meter panel, shower curtain.
Yeah.
If you look over there, you see all the debris pile way up there. I mean,
Yeah.
that's 25 feet from the water.
So the water was that high?
It was higher than that. That's just where the debris pile ended up. All of this is underwater.
Right, so some of these people could even be in the trees then.
Could have been, not now.
No, not now?
You ain't gonna find up the bones now, if you find bones. And most animals out here drag most of that crap off and eat it. I think the only thing that they really can't drag off is the skull, because they can't get it in their mouth. But I don't know how true that is either, because I ain't know biology. Just what I've heard.
Right.
And this river's like this for 30, 40 miles. There's shit, cars, houses, people's shit. We found chainsaws, weeders, lawnmowers. I mean, there's a curtain, somebody's shower.
Yeah, this looks like clothes right here.
Yeah, you look like somebody's shower. We did find a shirt back there in that pile of shit that had blood all over it.
Oh,
I do remember that.
so what we're learning is that homes like this, where they've been destroyed like this, nothing can be built on this property again once it goes through the hazard process. But here you can see where this was a home, that it caved in around this fireplace here. I can see an upstairs, looks like a bedroom or a bathroom. I can see directly into the house. It was just gutted, one of the walls, but its frame was left in place. It's cut off with danger tape because if you disturb it, it's likely to collapse in places. All the way up into what looks like might have been someone's bedroom. And the floor gave out. Yeah, it is a bedroom. It's a bed. Or someone's bed. And someone's game set. A couch and just a Monopoly set where people used to do life here. you can see where people's lives were washed down the river, just where the landslides happened. Ahead of me here in the river debris, it's what appears to be the remains of someone's mattress, and just light poles and still debris even this long after. It was just impossible to retrieve. So no one's done anything with this house?
No, there's been nothing done with this house. So when you look at a property like this and you look at the devastation and the damage, I do not know this homeowner. I don't know if this was their primary residence or possibly an Airbnb or a second home. But what has happened is that the land is gone. The house has all the damage. The water came up. It washed away their land. It washed away their foundation. So this family will more than likely have to probably go through some sort of hazard mitigation. Mm-hmm. Hazard mitigation is a program through the federal government in partnership with the state, and you have to apply to have the federal government and the state work together, and they will buy your home back. It's an option for people who are, on the river and in flood zones that maybe can't build back. The process is lengthy. It can take years. So they've lost, if this was an Airbnb, then they've lost maybe a form of income. Mm-hmm. If it was their primary residence and they had a mortgage, they have lost their ability to live in their home, and they're quite possibly still having to pay for it. Mm-hmm. So all of these are things that are going on in the county. You have people who are rebuilding, but you have people that are in a situation like this home where they're just in a standstill waiting for a program to take care of the damage, and it's sad.
Were they donated, or how'd you get that?
They are donated. So we are a non-profit, and it was 100% donated.
Where are they at right now? They're staying at a friend's cabin on up the mountain, but they couldn't get up there during the winter time because you couldn't get up there in the winter.
The roads are just were messed up, or because
The roads were actually messed up. We actually helped rebuild one of the roads that was getting up there to them.
And they climbed up,
They climbed and they sat up there. And they watched all of it happen.
So much. Baptists on Mission did so much. Operation Helo, Appalachian Disaster Coalition, rebuilding haulers. They all kind of came together and put him back together. And we found that that's the best way to get people back together quickly, is it needs to be a coalition of everybody. It just can't be one organization. Not one organization can handle all of it.
Right. So tell me a little bit about kind of like where you are after the storm here.
Yes, so we are definitely in a mode of planning our future. We have a garden design task force that is working on what we want to do in each of our beds that we have left here on the what we call the west end of the bridge, which is the Chimney Rock side. It's a pretty good sized space, but basically all of the gardens were destroyed that were here. And so when we started working, it was a little bit like a blank slate.
Tell me a little bit about the storm from your experience.
I mean, the storm was definitely a profound experience. You know, where I was up on the mountain, we didn't quite have as much damage right where our house was. It wasn't until we got out onto our street that we started to see the full scale of the damage, where all the water fed into the creeks, little creeks, and then the little creeks fed into the bigger creeks. It really wasn't until we started to make our way down into this area that we really understood the full scale of the damage and the devastation down here. We were kind of, myself was trapped up on the mountain for about 6 days. The roads had caved in. So it took about a full, I think it was 7 days until I was actually able to make it here to Fay Nectar.
Right now, it's very stressful for people with finances because when Helene came, it came into a place that I don't think people were, I mean, why would you get a hurricane in the middle of the mountains? And so insurance was not prepared to cover anybody. Nobody had the insurance for flooding. Nobody had insurance for a hurricane. And then FEMA, not to be awful, but FEMA really didn't step up and do anything for the area. I have a neighbor who has a $40,000 renovation kind of thing that needs to be done because everything was destroyed, and FEMA gave her $9,000. So she's having to come up with, we are a community of working class, hard grit people that work for everything they have. And when you have these huge expenses that are not covered, it's a very hard thing to find the money to do it. And so people are strapped right now because they're trying to figure out a way to make their dwellings livable again, to make their land have any kind of appraisal value whatsoever. And then just living expenses, and living has not gotten any cheaper in the time of this past year.
So this is the area that you operated out of when you first, like you said something about 9 days later?
Yeah, 9 days later was when I first saw, 9 or so days later, I saw FEMA for the first time. But I was here day 2, day 1 I was working EMS.
Oh, right. So you operated kind of like this general area all the way over to Bat Cave, it was?
No, Avery County, Yancey County, wherever there was a need. I was basically riding solo, so what I was doing is I had a Facebook page with 7,000 followers and posting what I could do, and just like everyone else, and whatever organically came to me I would take care of, because I didn't have a lot of people. I didn't have any volunteer base, and so I started seeing lots of holes of disaster relief where lots of hubs had an abundance of some things, and a hub down the road, a supply hub down the road, didn't have any of the abundance the other one had, and they were asking for these supplies over the internet. And I knew right then and there where, all right, well, we're gonna need all these people donating stuff for a long time coming. We need to be more smart on our approach. So I started reappropriating, going to the different hubs, getting the supplies and moving them to the other hubs.
Down here during Hurricane Helene, I would say it was about 9:30 that morning. When we walked down here, you can see kind of the knob past the mailbox there, and that's where the water level was from the Tow River. And then we'll walk down further, and literally when we get down there, we would have been like 25 feet underwater.
Wow. So like almost 2 stories.
Yeah, so the water actually, you see the giant tree there, so it would have been halfway up that tree.
I just think that this is a perfect illustration of how the mountain was just ripped out of its foundation, because like you don't have giant like car-sized boulders any other way, you know. Like that's one thing people don't realize, is stuff that doesn't happen in the mountains. There's the material to do this kind of damage here that wouldn't exist elsewhere.
Right. And there was lots of water flowing really quickly.
You could see where it cut through the sidewall, like here and here. This is just where the water came down with such pressure. It just cut the mountain's bedrock like in pieces.
And then another thing is like the trout fishing. This was huge for trout fishing.
Yeah, you're the second person to say that to me about how they don't know where they're going to trout fish now because the water's depths have changed.
Right, and if I recall correctly, there was 2 fisheries that were wiped out. I don't recall where, somewhere at the mountain there.
Yeah.
Looks like they're starting with that roof.
Well, I'm just actually kind of surprised personally that house survived, because you see how it's like kind of dangling over. I mean, I'm sure it's not very livable like that, but just the fact that it's still there is amazing to me. So that orange stuff on those cables, did they go back through and just put that stuff down to
actually have some sort of whether it's power or fiber optics or all of it? I don't know. There's like, looks like 3 of them. I know they laid the black first, which I think was some power, and then I think the orange might be fiber optics or something.
But they had to lay it down on the ground like that because
Yeah.
there's just no infrastructure to suspend it, basically.
Right.
Wow.
Now, the section from Batcave up to Hendersonville, it is also very unrecognizable. They went ahead and removed trees from the roads up the mountains more, so it's wide open. And before it was like you were driving through a tunnel, and now it's like you're driving on the highway.
Wow.
It's so wide.
Well, it's just
Not the road, but the swath of vacant trees. And it's sad because they're adding to the flooding. I know they're trying to be safe and trying to cut the trees so they're not falling on the roads or the wires, but at the same time they're creating more flooding.
so they're just trading problems for problems, basically.
Yeah.
Huh.
You know, and that happens with urban sprawl. And you can see right here, this building here, that actually had railings that were just pushed over. I don't even know what part of
The road it was.
Yeah, I don't know what it belonged to. I really don't.
Yeah, you'll find a lot of stuff like that, because as we're approaching like this side of the road, they have closed off, and you can just see like random bits of debris, like the little piping there. And then this was, I'm assuming this was someone's house, or maybe it was a business, but
You can see partial roadway up there dangling. There's parts of the road, you know, we just weaved over and over the river a couple times. The road has definitely changed, and
it's shape.
Where I don't know if that's temporary or not.
Well, like with this house here, and I'm assuming someone lived there and it wasn't like a business or something, but you can see where it's like closed off, and then that highway has cut in like a path for themselves behind that road closure, because they have to access that somehow.
Right.
But it looks like they accessed it from higher up before.
Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't tell me I was in like the Greater Chimney Rock area, I wouldn't know that, because that's how different it looks. Like, I can remember what it looked like. It just looks completely different to me.
Yeah, and this used to be a little circus carnival type fair.
Right.
And all the rides and everything got wiped out.
It's just insane.
Burnt shirt tasting.
Oh, it's like a brewery or something.
Winery tasting, kind of like a restaurant.
Right.
So whatever stores are left and restaurants that are left in Chimney Rock that are still standing, I think it's like 90% that are open, which is great.
So one thing I would love for people to think about is to because gardening is a joy, and just to think about the joy and the fun that we all can either do or watch us do over the next, several months to get these gardens back in shape and planted for the future.
Right, because this was probably like a large part of the culture here, like even before the storm.
Yes, it is. I mean, everybody loves gardening, and everybody loves when our gardens look beautiful, and residents and visitors that just, even if they just drive by, say, "Oh, I saw the new plants. They look so great." Or your hydrangeas are blooming, or the roses look fabulous. So the community definitely joins in the joy here, joins in the beauty of the gardens. And they will be beautiful again. They'll be a little different because we now have 17 different beds, 17 different areas, and each of our areas is going to have a special theme. So that will be really fun for people to come in and look and see that.
Gentleman that did come down from Swananoa from another hub that was seeking to start up a hub down here in Batcave to help the people. We let him spend the night, and my husband and I met him the next day, and we said, okay, we can give this a try because we were still cleaning up. And there was a group that came from Yancey County down to Batcave. They heard there was a need, so they ended up coming down here, all from out of state. The furthest one was Josh, 23. He drove all the way from Alaska. And that group lasted about 8 months with us. And when they were getting ready to go out, they were kind of looking for somebody to take over the hub. And that's when we stepped in and said, this is our community, we know the people, we're taking it over. My husband is a general contractor in the state, so a lot of his work was down here, so we were familiar. So we actually started just supplying the residents here with different items. We had propane, gasoline, kerosene, buddy heaters, you name it. People started bringing stuff to us when they could. We still have operating the food, I guess like a food pantry. I have 2 Connexes over there. One is full of food, the other one is full of cleaning products, laundry soap, toilet paper, paper towels. It just really helps financially. A lot of people down here have been through a lot. So, and a lot of us down here did not receive any type of insurance or FEMA support.
Right. You were just kind of overlooked by like the federal and state.
I feel so. I mean, when you look and hear the news, you hear about Chimney Rock, you hear about Lake Lore. And that's probably because of the state park, it's a tourist town, so forth. And then you just never heard about Batcave and Girton also. We are 2 different counties, but we're in the same state. So we feel like we were forgotten.
Just kind of passed over for the counties that make like more money for the overall.
We feel that's what happened.
So I guess my next question for you then is, what would you like people outside of the area to know about supporting this area now? I mean, it's almost been a year, but I mean, you can look around and see there's still like a lot of cleanup and stuff to do.
There is. I mean, yesterday we just got done demoing a house up in Girton. We still have debris piles. It's a lot better right now, but we had, 30 feet high debris piles. I mean, it was, in the wintertime, it was crazy because the wind, because of all the tree loss. So whatever was stacked up and you got the wind, it'd be like a dust storm down here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a lot of us I'm congested right now. A lot of us, when we're down here, we're coughing, congested, and, I try not to think about that because I've been here, you know what I'm saying, six days after the hurricane.
Yeah.
And we we've been going 6-7 days a week. We finally decided to close Sundays and Mondays so we can catch a break. But just last Sunday and Monday we were here.
Yeah. Because the need is such that. So would it be helpful if someone watching this at home was to come out and maybe volunteer, or would that actually overwhelm your process here?
No, we do. We have backcavedisasterrelief.com. You can check out the website. There are sections there that you can sign up and try to give us your skill level. We're always looking for operators that can operate equipment. We also have a GoFundMe. We have a Venmo for donations if they can't come out and volunteer. This helps us with rental equipment. We're renting equipment. So that helps. It goes with the also fuel, the extra money if we're repairing people's homes. We're in a process of helping somebody rebuild a home up in Horton. So any money donated to Batcave Disaster Relief goes right back out to the community. We're 100% volunteer, and we work off of donations.
Right. I think my last question for you is, because we were talking about the breathing conditions and stuff, and I don't want to be causing fear mongering or anything, but you notice the roads and things up here. What is something that maybe you could get help with in advance of the winter time? Because I know we're kind of coming up on it now, and that might make your situation a little bit more difficult.
We're hoping to actually have our building put back together before so that we can actually move everything inside. Right now, I believe we have a mason that is donating his time. I had 3 people that donated block to me because I was denied my insurance claim. And my adjuster never came down, physically saw the building. She went off of a YouTube video. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good.
That was heart-wrenching. I mean, just happened to notice the post office building, and yeah.
Yeah, you want to be judged fairly, on the ground and not by...
Yes.
Right.
It was somebody, and she was just telling her story to this person. This person should have not been down here at the time. It was the 6th or 7th day after the hurricane, didn't even live down here. Just making a YouTube video that got millions of views. So it hurt. It really did hurt because that was somebody's story she heard in the words that she used to describe her situation does not make it my situation. Nobody's talking about the tornadoes. We had multiple tornadoes down here. You could tell when the leaves were down. You could see how the trees were leaning.
Right.
And I have a report from somebody, a meteorologist, that does go into detail about the tornadoes and the way my roof was tilted and so forth. That more than likely the tornado took the roof off, which caused the walls to weaken.
So basically, what I'm gathering from what you've just said is that you had other storms that wasn't necessarily just Helene that kind of contributed to some of the factors. And
yeah, we've been through heavy rains and so forth. A lot of people don't realize, I think the day before the storm we got 17 inches, and we have 3 rivers that meet near the bridge. So you have the river that's coming down from Black Mountain. 74, you have the river that's coming from Asheville. And then you have, on 64, you have another river. So they met down here, and when they met, they were mad. I mean...
They just hit each other it was kind of like a pileup on the interstate, but with water.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. The water came from the videos that I did see of other people's. The water was as high as the bridge down here. So I'm not good at feet, but if you walked up there and just looked down, the video I saw, the water was actually at the bottom.
Right, so just compare it to a landmark.
Yeah.
That we were going to be paying on our first mortgage. Insurance paid nothing. We are still paying on the house that's gone. And for us to rebuild, we had to do a second mortgage. But we knew we had to do something. Are we going to walk away? Not really. We have land. We were given no restrictions in building back. So we were not in the flood zone. We did move the house forward to be further from the river, but we knew that we wanted to rebuild. So we got started because why wait? We've been on the property for the past 7 months in a camper that was donated. I would probably say that we are probably taking it a little aggressively compared to others in our area. So what you can
Let's say April's taking it a little aggressively. She is actually the project manager for our home.
So I think that for me, what others need is help. I feel like either people that want to mentor and walk through these steps with others that want to rebuild, that do not have the means or the knowledge or the experience. I think that if there's project managers out there or organizations that could help facilitate that motion so people aren't walking through that process alone, resources, whether it's going to be financing or resources for product and material or trades. I think that there's definitely people here that need help, and the level of help's just based on what their skill set is or their resource pool. So I just think that anyone and everyone has something to bring. I think that if somebody wants to help, they're going to find a way to get here and connect with the right people. That's just the way the universe works. So I think that I hope that we're those people, that we're the lighthouse for the community, and that they reach out to us and we're able to facilitate that as well for others. But I hope that maybe just a beacon of light that it is possible, and as a community we can do this together.
I think going forward, a lot of the cleanup is being wrapped up, and now people are facing the harsh reality of what do we do now. And like April said, and I know we're not the only ones in this situation, a lot of these people live in generational land, and so that house was paid off a couple generations ago, so the people living in it weren't paying a mortgage or rent. And so now they're in a situation where their income may not match the ability to be able to do that. So they're going to need resources. And part of the journey is people donating building products, people donating their expertise, retired people saying, I'm going to come down and, do electrical work, or even church groups that will come down. I mean, we're going to reach a point here at our house where the landscape needs to be done. It's pretty wiped out. So there's going to be a lot of planting that's going to need to be done just to bring cheer and joy, so it doesn't look like a disaster area anymore. This is our home, and we wanted to build back on our property because it's our home, and these people are our community. And I think that a lot of people out there think, wow, we're a year down the road, they're good, it's all settled. But it's not just right here. You take side streets off of this main road and you find people in very rough situations.
Living with lack of repairs. Even if they didn't lose it all, they're living with what they were left.
In moldy houses with maybe plumbing that's not working appropriately. There's so much left to do here that is not being done. We're kind of off the beaten path. We're not Chimney Rock. We're Bat Cave. And that's a different animal because we don't have a lot of governmental power behind us. And, we're in a situation where we're going to be paying 2 mortgages now. What does that look like? I may have to go back to work. I've been retired for 5-6 years now, but we've got to pay that mortgage, obviously. But there are plenty of people that are in that kind of situation where we were good citizens, we did all the right things, and now we're in a situation where, you know, life has changed drastically, and not just for this year or next year, but for the rest of our lives. It has changed drastically. But we're not quitters. We're survivors.
Right. So you think on one hand there's like a lot of community building opportunity here that people could tap into, but on the other thing, I feel a slight sense of urgency knowing that winter is coming. What would you say about that, about what you might need like for the seasons changing?
I think it's important that people feel like they can reach out to the community volunteers that are set up. There are a few, and I think that we're hoping that they will have resources to tap into. I know the Transfiguration of Episcopal Church has helped us and is willing to help others. I know Bat Cave Disaster Relief is down the road and is willing to help others. They have been given some resources, and so if there are people that are in need this winter, I hope that they reach out to the people that are here that maybe will be connected with resources. I mean, it's really hard for somebody to walk in here and find those people, but these community efforts have been going on since day one with lack of government support or lack of, you know, big support, and they know these faces that need help. And so I really can't tell you how many of them are going to get through the winter if they haven't already started working on that. You know, whether they're going to be in temporary housing or have to relocate out of their area, if they have that option. But hopefully they'll connect with resources, and if somebody wants to help, they'll connect with those resources to make sure they get to the right people.
Right. Right, so I think kind of bringing it back to your organization, I know that we have, like, winter is coming, and up here in the mountains, this is a kind of a difficult place for transportation. What would you like people watching this to know about what you need most urgently to kind of keep your, whatever you're currently working on, kind of keep it operational through those months?
We just need things for the time. So, like, we have been doing diaper drives for mothers and everybody who are needing. We gave out diapers. It was actually not a diaper drive, it was a baby shower. So we've done 2 of those, and each time we have done, it's been over 100 people, families come in and getting baby clothes, diapers, wipes, anything of that sort, because that's an expensive thing, but it's a necessity. We need necessities to help lift that cost off of families so they can take that money and continue to build or to make their house, you know. I bet a lot of people had their insulation got moldy, so they had to pull that out. We had a lot of things where hot water heaters went. People are still living without decent water. We did a fan and water drive in June, right before, it was right when that hot weather hit, and we gave away 4 pallets of water, and we did 120 fans in 2 days. Nobody else in the area had done it, and nobody, when you talk to people, they did not have decent water. To test their water's $300. That's another expense that they're not prepared for. And then they're scared to have somebody come in and maybe fix the well or maybe do anything else, because that's going to be even more money that they don't have. So it has just been this spiral and snowball effect of not being prepared, and it's nobody's fault for not being prepared because it wasn't supposed to happen here. It's that, and then it's not, the expenses just keep piling up because there's no help. We need necessities to help people lift necessity expenses off of them.
So what does that look like in terms of most effective help? Like, would money help the most, or would it actually help if people sent material things? I know we had some people talk about how people try to donate like material things and they sent the wrong stuff. And what would you say that should look like?
We took in a lot of materials. The only problem with materials is it takes time and manpower. So we have 2 crates full of supplies right now. And it takes specific needs, specific people to take specific items. But when we get monetary donations, we are able to appropriate it the way it's needed. So we were able to get money for the fan drive. When we did that, we were able to get fans that we needed. We were able to work with Red Mountain Hardware, which is right down the road. They got us fans at cost. We were able to work within the community and get what we needed at that time. I'm sure coming up we are going to be needing propane. We are going to be needing helping people with their electric bills. We are going to need help with heaters and heated blankets. But so we know what we need, and we see it by hearing it from people. But sometimes when we just get supplies sent, it takes more manpower than what we've got to deal with at that point in time.
And to the point, I think my last question for you is to the point of manpower. What if there are people with special skill sets that could volunteer? How would they be able to do that? And would a new fresh wave of volunteers be helpful? Or
a new fresh wave of volunteers would be fantastic. And what we need is, I'm finding it's not even skill. I'm finding it's you want to use your hands, pick up the water, and hand it to the person that's standing in line that needs the water. You are willing to come and take your time and help move trash. Or you want to help organize containers of supplies that we have. We need manpower that way. So it's not for specific, we're not looking for specific, what's the word for it?
Skilled labor.
Skilled labor. We just need hands. We need hearts. We need, just the want to be here and to help people, because people do need help. But this area wants to help themselves. Don't think that this is people aren't here trying to help themselves. People are building their own things. They're doing their own things. Like I said, this is a working class neighborhood. They have made this area. They have made it what it is. And their generations built on hard work. So it's not like we don't have hard workers in the area. It's just, it's going to take a little bit more than what everybody's got, because not only are they having to rebuild their homes, they're also having to do a full-time job.
That's kind of like what we're doing right now, is trying to raise money to start a wood bank so the folks of Haywood County and Buncombe County could have warmth without worrying about paying for wood this year.
So what kind of support do you need for that? Besides just money, I know maybe you might need volunteers or things like that.
That's exactly what we need. Volunteers are short. Everybody's going back to work for the summer. We had a bunch of volunteers this summer, but during the winter time, when school starts and people go back to work, it starts getting a little bit lack. So we do definitely need volunteers to help us, with wood banks, delivering food, helping us do projects. Like right now, we're delivering our first mobile home for somebody, and we just done the demolitions for it. And in the next 2 weeks, we'll be able to actually start placing that home for one of our survivors of Helene.
All right, so what kind of supplies do you need? If someone was to, let's say they wanted to send materials, maybe there's stuff that you get that you can't actually use.
Right now, wood would be great. Anything kind of building supplies, because we're going to be building a lot of decks. We are I think we're going to be able to do 3 mobile homes by the end of the winter. So there's, building materials for decks, nails, screwdrivers, or screws, things like that. That's probably what the most we need.
But when you say wood, do you mean lumber, or do you mean firewood?
We can use firewood, definitely. We're going to be collecting that, but what I mean by wood is 2x4s to actually build decks, things like that.
So I think my next question for you is, I know that one of the challenges up here is you can see the roads and stuff, it's hard to drive on. What do you need to get done the most urgently before the storms, the winter storms set in?
Honestly, probably getting the food to our facility. Right now we're working with Beulah Baptist Church, and getting that stocked up for food, and we can get it delivered for people.
Right, and so I guess the next and possibly last question, for that food, like what can people send in if that's how they choose to support?
Non-perishable foods for one, like canned goods, fresh food. We can get anything like that. We have refrigerators and we have all kinds of stuff like that to be able to keep it fresh. That's pretty much the most important part, is getting the food there. We can get it to the people.
Last question now. I had thought of a different one. What would you like to say to anybody else, the rest of America or outside, about what's happened here that maybe they don't know and you'd like them to know now?
Oh, well, a lot of people think that we're okay here in Hayward County due to the fact, or anywhere in Western North Carolina, due to the fact that, you know, it's been a year, but honestly, it's really not. We are still doing food because of 70% of my county did a vote this last, or not a vote, but a survey this last month, and it was in the Mountaineer. 70% of people that were surveyed are dealing with food insecurities. Still, you know, once they're, you know, they were already poor as it was, and when the hurricane come, it kind of like shut them out for good. And they're still they're still struggling to make ends meet. There's no jobs whatsoever. There's no housing whatsoever. For those folks that did get affected by Helene, you know, there's really no housing that they can have. So they're still living in campers. There are not so many people living in tents anymore, but mostly campers. And by the time winter comes again, we're going to be dealing with those extremes that we did with last winter. You know, winterizing campers, keeping people warm, the cost of propane and wood and all that stuff like that. We're getting ready to go back into that, and there's, you know, we didn't even make a dent in those people over the summer to get them in new housing. So my organization right now, like I said, we're doing one mobile home right now, and we're almost complete with that. We've got the home, we're putting it on the property, but there's so many more people that are dealing with that issue right now.
Right, so it's just like a lack of resources plus extreme weather plus a lack of volunteership. So if you could bring all that lack together, you could kind of get a move on.
Yeah, and funding as well. You know, in the last 4 months, I think we've only gotten maybe 4 donations, you know, so we have exhausted every means of our money that we've had, and now I'm coming out of my own pocket trying to help these people. So that's a big thing, is getting donations back in, or finding grants, finding some investors to come and help us out. That's the most important part right now.
Did you go to the party yet?
How you been?
Double legs.
Double legs, yeah. No, they were pickled, they weren't double. That lady popped up from behind the counter with a deviled egg in her mouth. I was like, what?
The Memorial Hardcore for Humanity is painting here is actually in honor of some of the victims that were never recovered, just inspiring hope for the area. So across the river here is actually where Lenny Ski used to live, so he was a popular folk musician and magician in the area.
Hands haven't been shook up in so long. Get that ball, right? There it is. Think. Stuck.
There it goes. I think.
There we go. These hands haven't been shooken up in forever. Let's go the other way.
Oh, it's going the other way. Joy, come over here.
I'll hand you this one, and then you can hand me this one.
Which one?
How do the different caps work?
Well, drink it.
or not haven't been found?
I think there's only, hold on, my phone's going off. I think there's only been 2 that haven't been found on this section, and that is
Lenny
and Alana.
Who was Alana?
She lived in Relief.
Okay.
That's where most of the houses were washed away.
Wow.
So she was down there. They found most of the family members of hers that passed, which were her husband and some children, and a grandmother. But they still have yet to find Alana, and then of course Lenny is still missing. But as far as active searches, those things, and that's the part that the general public just doesn't understand. Those types of official searches had to end when it was deemed that no one could have survived anymore, and then they had to focus on like taking care of the people that were without power. A lot of elderly people couldn't get, their caregivers couldn't get to them. And a lot of people up here, these people don't go to nursing homes. They stay in their homes to pass away, and they are cared for by their family members. And if their family members couldn't get there, they weren't getting fed, they weren't getting bathed, they weren't getting their meds. And so those focuses had to be turned there towards helping those people instead of recovering missing. They did do searches, but the main searches that continued on through the winter were done by outside search and recovery operations and nonprofit search and recovery at that.
Well, it's good that they continued to do what they could. But
Chuck and the relief team stayed in through the end of December and January. We were giving them warm meals every so often and helping them on some strategical planning and stuff. There's still some areas that haven't been searched, but those areas are more in the lower Nolichucky Gorge. There's been a lot of railroad rebuild in there, and it's very hard to, it's very inaccessible, and it's rugged. And so those areas I don't think necessarily have been searched just because of how remote and rugged it is to get into that part of the gorge.
right, but to your point about what you did to like take care of the elderly and stuff, is this what your organization focuses on primarily? Or?
Actually, our organization, the immediate stuff was just getting money in the hands of people who needed funding. So we immediately after the hurricane, after we did our evacuations and started doing recovery and helping people, I put up a GoFundMe, and it crazily raised an ungodly amount of money. It raised like $272,000 in 2 weeks. And I took $180,000 and I gave it to the community. And then the rest of that money is to be used for replanting riparian zones. So repairing riparian zones, it's a tongue twister. We want to repair riparian zones to create flood mitigation and replant the river. And the reason in our watershed, and the reason that's important is because until we do, here's what happens. This area is well known for mining, which means we have increased sediment and stuff that's already in our watershed compared to other watersheds that don't have mining on them. So we have increased sediment from mining and naturally occurring sand that after a flood to this level that's ripped the trees 100 feet to either side of the river away and just exposed, essentially before it was just sand down here. And the base of the river is now raising from increased sediment while the banks are eroding away. So the base of the river comes up, the banks of the river goes down. What happens?
And that's kind of...
It increases flooding.
Yeah.
This white colored here is a sediment color that you get specifically on this river due to mining, because this area mines feldspar, which is a white mineral, and that gives, when it rains here, which we've had a lot of rain this week and yesterday, it gives it more this whiter, muddy color than the muddy red clay mud. But these types of plants are things like we're doing to replant. So this is called juncus grass. I've planted a bunch of these wetland grasses, and actually you can see where they're holding in, literally holding in pieces of bank here now. So where I've planted these, they're already starting to hold in the bank. I've also planted some sweet shrubs and elderberries, all native plants that attract like hummingbirds and honeybees and monarchs and butterflies. And they're all native plants, and they're all wetland plants. We've already seen these specific juncus grasses have been run over by the Army Corps of Engineers when they got in here to clean debris piles. And we've had several high water events, and they're actually starting to spread downstream.
So they're very hardy.
They're extremely hardy. And I am expecting to, my goal, which we are running out of money and we are running out of volunteers. My goal is to plant 8 miles of river from here to Huntdale with this type of planting, the native shrubs and native grasses.
Right.
And that will help with some of the erosion that will make our flooding worse in future events. And there will be another.
Right.
So we got to prepare.
So,
this type of planting is something I'm trying to fund with some of the monies that are left over.
Yeah, so to that point, I think the next question, my last question for you, is what can people do right now to be the most supportive of that? Because I know we have the winter coming up and stuff.
Honestly, right now, for me and my organization and my goals, we have river cleanups that are coming. And there are river replanting initiatives because a lot of the live staking and planting has to be done in the winter. So volunteerism is really important. And that's not just for my organization, that's for any of the organizations that are still remaining after Hurricane Helene. Because here we are a year later and we have a lot of rebuilding infrastructure and environmental work to do. And it's going to be work that we have to do for years and years to come. So keep volunteering in Western North Carolina in these devastated areas. Keep donating to legitimate nonprofits and legitimate organizations. Our organization is also sponsoring a Go Bags for Kids program. We've already given away 34 Go Buckets. So basically it's like emergency preparedness. It's a bucket that will keep you alive for like 72 hours. It's got water filtration, fire, shelter, warmth, food. It's got everything in this bucket. So like programs like that, supporting programs like that, and supporting Resilient Appalachia Disaster Relief Fund, which is our nonprofit. But right now, all of our fundraising is still going on through GoFundMe and through NC Outdoor Adventures while I work out the 501c3 backside of that organization. And once we get the 501c3 designation, then we'll be able to get our hands on more grants and more fundraising.
Like you got to get all that final paperwork and
right.
stuff.
And see, that's an interesting thing to mention is that a lot of these nonprofits, I'm sure, like were you already a nonprofit before?
No, I had to go through the process.
Okay, so North Carolina created a very interesting loophole for organizations that are considered grassroots like our organizations. We were all created in the aftermath or during the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. So these people, we started GoFundMe pages or whatever, and then it blew up, and then we're like, whoa, we have resources. We have people sending us, it gives me goosebumps. We have people sending us stuff. We have people, Amazon wish lists. We have this and that, all this help coming in. And that was great. It gives me so many goosebumps. It was so great for like the first several months. But North Carolina created a way for us to start these kind of backwards. They're like, these people already have this money. They're already doing the work. So I'm still working on the back end of mine to get it done. I filed it with the state and the county, but now we've got to work on the 501c3.
Yes, you have to do it retroactively, but one of the goals you have is kind of like the people watching this at home, not only can they support you, but they also can learn from you so that they can prevent something, and then there doesn't have to be another extremes of Helene. I mean, there will be another event.
Yeah,
but
there'll always be. As we've learned, I mean, we were looking in July, I think there were over 8,000 historic flooding events just across the world, and like a 10-day period. We had this crazy like storm across the entire globe where everyone was getting hit by something. I mean, if you watch the news, you've seen it.
Yeah.
Texas flood, then Indonesia, Pakistan, like we have all of these weather events happening. And if we don't prepare ourselves for future events, then we'll be in the same boat we were before. And I think if people are prepared, we can pretty much accomplish just about anything. Because I know folks up here, they save themselves pretty much. And but we need people to still volunteer. So if you see events like replanting initiatives like we're doing, or river cleanups, or we need manpower, people need to help build things. We need people with graders to come in and grade things. We need, the railroad's not even back to work. So we still need visitors.
So basically, I guess the message, like in closing, is to just not neglect some of this other, like maybe less I don't know if the right word is glamorous, but like some of this like less known things that are part of restoration, like the grass, and just don't neglect those kind of support.
Right, and I mean, exactly, there's some other lower key things going on than just rebuilding the homes or getting, but the other things are important as well as these environmental measures, because these are the things that will keep us safe in the next flood. Is repairing these damaged stream banks, because otherwise, if you don't repair the damaged stream banks, you're going to have the base of the river come up and the banks continue to go down, and you're going to have worse flooding. And God forbid we see a worse flood than Helene, because that was catastrophic. And I think, let me think real quick on that question you asked. Can you ask that question one more time?
Yeah, so basically just what you want to send to people at home, kind of message-wise, is just, I know a lot of it attracted out here, like come and rebuild and come and rescue and come and pass out water, but just don't neglect some of these other, like maybe less spotlight type things that need to be done.
Yeah, so I think volunteerism, keeping volunteerism open in Western North Carolina is the best way to do that, and supporting grassroots efforts, like our nonprofit and other folks in the area, and getting that, and just seeing the progress over the last year, and not just focusing on the devastation, but focusing on some of the good things that are going on in the area, and come support those things.
She said, "Oh, that can lead to a lot of fun."
I just want a little.
What did you grab?
Do you want a beer? He's on a Perny journey.
You think a Perny journey?
That's what we call it.
Yeah.
You ever do the hay